When I'm involved in brawls, I start glowing. Your broads are like where you're going. What you're holding ain't the cards showing. What's the Brouhaha? What's the Brouhaha? I gotta go, stop your moaning. Gotta push up more weight than Hogan. And stop till I'm on late with Conan. What's the Brouhaha?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another exciting adventure of What's the Brouhaha. Let's see what's popping on the gram, nigga. Let's see what's going on Instagram. All right, so let's check this out.
I want to make a video on dumb shit that guys say whenever they get honest, hardcore dating advice. So say, for example, that you talk about some of the different dynamics that are a little bit challenging when it comes to dating. A bunch of guys will come on and go, "It's not even worth it." Let me explain this to you, you little fucking bitch. The way that human beings continue to live past death is we have children. The point of reproduction is to weed out the weak so that the genetics continue to improve. By saying, if I can't just be myself, I'm giving up. You are literally admitting that you are so bitch made, such a fucking loser, that you can't handle a small degree of complexity. Now let me explain this to you. Back in the day, when an average man was more or less guaranteed almost an average woman, that was because we were under what's called a patriarchy. And I'm not a feminist who complains about the patriarchy, but I'm not dumb enough to think a patriarchy didn't exist. Now, the patriarchy made it where women were so oppressed that they chose men they didn't like. So if your only, because they didn't have a choice. So if your only answer is, I just want to go back, some women should have to choose men they don't like. I can't be myself. I can't be. And it's like, if that's your only answer, you are literally admitting that you wish to commit genetic suicide in a cope where you blame women, and to cope, you're basically just making the problem a them problem, with the only solution to a woman being attracted to you that she would be forced to reproduce with a man she's not into by removing their bank account and ability to vote. Well, when women are given a bank account and ability to vote, I don't get chosen, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay. That is not a them problem. That's a you problem. And here's the most fucked up part. If you went out to chat women for 3 days, you could solve the problem. But all this crying and whinging to avoid talking to women for 3 fucking days, maybe you should be weeded out.
All right. So I agree with most. First of all, I rock with most of what Owen says and his overall content, but he's painfully Canadian and painfully purple-pilled. So this idea that the majority of female, or the general consensus, was that every chick in the past, every chick in the 1960s, the 40s, the 20s, and previously, that every guy they were with, or even a majority of the guys that they were with, were guys that they didn't want. I would submit that nothing much has changed in terms of female reactions and female attitudes towards men in any basic way. Women are just women. Women are just women. To think that she wasn't aroused or wasn't appreciative or wasn't fulfilled by her husband, especially for the couples and families that had 2+ kids, that had 4 or 5. Some of these kids, my mom, her mother, her father had 10 kids. And this idea that women didn't have a choice, they absolutely had it. Like, I don't know where this idea that women were enslaved, were they chained to the house? This idea that they didn't have their own money, that this whole credit card thing or voting even, it's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. So all of your grandfathers and grandmothers, some of them were miserable, sure. But I guarantee you, most of the people that have stories about their grandmothers being miserable, I'm sorry to tell you, but my family, my mom, your grandmother, most people have a situation where the women you know in your life, none of them were chaperoned and none of them procreated with their first and only man. And so this idea that she didn't choose who she liked and therefore she was miserable, etc., I'm sure that was true for some females. And some of them told themselves that they didn't have a choice. Everybody has a choice. Everybody had a choice. And there were women who went off on their own, made their own money, slept with whoever they wanted. And if they ended up miserable, then so be it. If they were happy, then so be it. But the idea that nobody did that and these guys were enslaving these women and they were completely and utterly incapable, had no agency, they couldn't do anything, is misguided. There's no evidence for it. There's no proof for it. There are a few miserable women. Betty Friedan intentionally ignored all the women that told her that they were happily married. And that's the narrative that's just prevailed. But that doesn't mean it's true. Now, were there miserable women? Of course there were. But were they in the majority? And what made them miserable? I guarantee you a lot of what made them miserable was not only a underperforming father who then probably set her up with the wrong guy. I've heard stories of that even today. But to use that as the dominant narrative and the dominant example is misguided. So with a straight face, you're telling me that no one was happy before they could vote or before she had her own bank account? Somehow no female was content, or the majority of females were not content because she couldn't spend herself into debt or make billions, or because she couldn't go to a house party or on a date with a random guy, or whatever the case is. Also, this goofy narrative of, oh, well, chicks can choose whoever they want now and they're happier, while simultaneously the prevailing narrative is, oh, all these guys are making these chicks miserable. And all these chicks crying in their cars about no good men and all men are bad, etc. So which is it? And the same narrative that, oh, my narcissist ex, my toxic narcissistic ex, and I hate all men and I just use men for playthings, etc. So all of this is true, but I'm happier making my own decisions. And I have my money and my vote. And so my last 20, 50, triple digit, quadruple digit, 2 guys, 2,000 guys, 200 guys, 20 guys, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But my money, my vote, I'm happy because I make my own choices, but yet all men are something extremely negative and bad. And I'm sad and crying in my car and I hate all men, but at the same time, I'm making my own decisions. I have a lot of money and I vote. Which is it? Which is it? No, seriously, tell me, which is it? But this is what a man sounds like when he is following the female narrative and he's adhering to the gynocentric order instead of just taking a step back and understanding that women are what they are and you should accept them for what they are. And you can't escape the natural ordering: man, woman, child, man, woman, child. So again, it seems that as a man, you can't win. You can't win out here. You can't win out here. You're just wrong either way. Now, he's right about the guy who is, that's a lame excuse. Like this idea that, oh, I can't go out and win. That's all bullshit. That's true. That part is true. You can absolutely, if you choose to fornicate, you can absolutely go out and engage with women that are not chaperoned. They're not chaperoned. They're literally available. So the only thing in your way is yourself. So all these guys who are presumably black pilled or whatever you want to call it, incel, whatever you want to call it. And this idea that, oh, you won't be able to procreate, I don't think anybody really cares about that. That's all just conditioning. There is this image that groupthink and media puts in your head where you have to fight for your family and you have to have kids and you have to find this woman somewhere in the world and you have to procreate. And if you don't, you somehow don't get to live forever. I do think it's good to have a tribe and a community. But how funny is it that a lot of guys that are well off, that have wealth, that have friends, that have a circle, and they have no problem with women, but there's no impetus, there's no motivation, there's no incentive to procreate and to conjugate, to marry, and to have kids because the landscape is not built for that currently. It's a landscape of random, unchaperoned, wayward women. Now that environment lends itself to party and to have fun. And if you choose to fornicate, then yes, that's when the stuff that's being said by the dating gurus, whatever you want to call them, is absolutely true, which is basically get out of your own way. And that's true. Get out of your own way. Go outside, engage with women. There are women who will treat you well in the moment. Absolutely. You can go out and it's a game of pools and it's a game of volume. So you need to engage with the volume, with the pool. Go out, talk to a lot of women. It's that simple. Talk to a lot of women. Literally, as you do that, it will hammer out all your issues. Literally, it will hammer out all your issues. So you just have to stay in the pocket. You just have to stay in the pocket and stop cock blocking yourself. But beyond that, this nutty idea that women are in a better place now because they're voting and they have money. And listen to me very clearly. I want this current batch of women to be happy and to be wealthy and to be healthy. Let me repeat that. I sincerely want every female out there to be healthy, wealthy, happy, you name it, all the good things. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you would be. I wish that was the case. I wish you or somebody, whoever, I don't care how it gets done. I want the mission to be accomplished by any means necessary. I truly wish that every female out here was intensely happy, maximally happy, face of God happy, tears, the tear, face of God ecstasy happy. Truly, heaven, clouds opening up, radiancy. I truly wish the most ultimate joy for every single female in existence. I am the true feminist. Beyond this idea of queen is so limited and it's just parroting, mimicking blind nonsense. I want for women that is beyond queen, that is beyond monarchy. I want something celestial, heavenly, radiant, pure, unending joy and well-being. But what's out there is what's out there. And a lot of it is self-inflicted. And a lot of it is born of fathers not chaperoning, guiding, and brokering their daughters' relationships and marriages. That's the bottom line. A female does not have the strength to rein in a man to commit to her, not the man that she wants. So I would also submit that there were plenty of couples, plenty of marriages in the past where the young man, the man, shook her father's hand, overcame her father, married his lady, and she was absolutely keen. And she was game. She was GGG. They had a gang of kids. Enough with this garbage that every chick in the past, because she couldn't run around and get railed by multiple guys, that somehow she was miserable. That is such a pernicious, widespread. It's just BS. It's BS. It's nuts. It's just this weird modern era sense of entitlement and arrogance that you guys have it all figured out and you've done it fundamentally better than the past is nuts. It's crazy. You guys don't have a scintilla of what the people in the past had. Whether we're talking about the 60s, the 40s, the 50s, the 20s, whatever it is, there were individuals that had lives, that had fulfillment, that had community, family, purpose, children, and a lot of action from people they actually knew deep down. This is crazy. Nobody has that these days. You have random encounters. Random encounters. It's just absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely clear that we have to repeal the female vote in the United States, in the Western world, in any country or nation or world that wants to win, that wants to make it. You have to remove women from government. Full stop, period. Judges, senators, decision makers, you name it. I would even submit even staff. The number of sexual harassment claims and the slowdown, the muck in the system, the gunk in the system that slows the machinery down from having females present in government, look it up. It's nuts. If you want to run efficiently and clean, you got to get women out of government. It's bad enough that we have corrupt men that the men who hopefully are not corrupt have to deal with. To have that extra layer of waywardness and backwardness and regressiveness, to have to reduce and slow everything down to the female level just adds another layer of complexity that is entirely self-inflicted and unnecessary. Now, in the private sector, the women that are already out there, again, I wish them nothing but the best. They should hopefully be making billions and trillions and endless amounts of money and joy. Have at it, no problem. None of that, though, equals a wife. None of that equals a wife. We need to remove the female vote, remove women from government, and enable them to remain to be free so they can do whatever they want, make as much money as they want in the private sector. Sky's the limits. Do whatever you want. Now, none of that, though, equals a wife or a community that you can trust or a full family, a 360-degree family. None of that equals that, which is what people are actually looking for. But yes, if you want to fornicate, if you choose to fornicate and that's it, no paying, no dating, then absolutely take his advice, which is to go outside, talk to a lot of people, triangulate on the women that you're attracted to, experience the winner effect, and be essentially the cause and not the effect. And you will absolutely experience fornication. But that's all it is. The ceiling is fornication. The ceiling is canoodling and shenanigans and being on base, first base, second base, third base, home plate. That's all you'll ever achieve, but that's not a family. That's not a real family. Anyway, it's not a family. Most guys need to get a DNA test if you have any children. And if you're in some sort of relationship or you're married, I would submit that for 90% of you all, for a great majority of you all, you are not safe. You are not in a good place because your female is running around by herself. Period. Full stop. Regardless of how good she treats you. There are women who treat the men in their life well, their husband well, and they are still engaging in a level of infidelity, whether it's on first, second, third, or fourth base with whoever or as many non-husband entities, or not her husband. She might be engaged with another husband, but she's engaged with non-husband entities that are not her husband. This is undeniable, and this is constant. So the only sane position is the position of not committing. Just be the perpetual, whatever you want to call it, player, but just the perpetual free guy. non-committal guy, just going about his business, engaging with the world. That's it. That's all it is. That's all that's out here. And that's fine. But that's all that's out here. That's undeniable. So all this purple pill maxing, all this purple pill conflating the red pill with the blue pill, whether they want to admit it or not is irrelevant. Most guys out here are purple pilled, or the guys that are successfully physically, the guys who are experiencing physical success, let's just say, or casual success with women out here, especially without paying or dating, those are the true red pillars. Those are the true active red pillars. And on some level, you could say the incellers that also understand the landscape and choose not to fornicate, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, they're celibate. You could be red pill also if you understand the landscape and what's happening. Sure. But most people, or there's a portion of guys that are purple pill, and then there's a great portion of guys that are blue pill. So that's the real landscape. That's how it breaks down. So that's all I'll say on that. I'm a little over, so let me get out of here. I guess we could check out these comments real quick. Is there time for that? It's all perspective. 99, I think he meant 99%. 99% of women will choose to be with 1% of men, regardless if that man has other women and doesn't love her. And if you climb the social status ladder and become better, as long as you are not all the time remaining in top 1%, you will not be selected. If you make it there, there will always be some other dude to take your place, to take your place with a better new innovation that makes him more money or better looks and social status. And so they will bounce. It's not that women want a man with XY qualities. They want the man that has more compared to the other 99%, and that will change in a whim. Man, these guys are really beaten down, brother. It's crazy. Man, it's jeez. God, bro. Guys, brother. Go outside. Like, that's all I'll say. Bro, go outside, man. Go outside. Okay? Go outside, brother. This dude is writing the 10 commandments out here, bro. Like, that's a tablet. That's a stone tablet, dude. Like, what are we doing? Trying to be selected by a female, brother. There is no such thing. This idea that women choose the guy they're happy with and all this garbage. Women don't choose anything. They have no discernment whatsoever. And they tell you, if you actually listen to women, what do they say? They just want it to happen. They just want it to be like a flow, and they don't have to think about it. And they don't choose anything. They just end up in places. Listen, brother, there are chicks who you canoodle with who will tell you they don't want anything to be planned, and will tell you that, no, you can't, literally verbatim tell you, you can't reach out and arrange it. It just has to happen. And they're not lying. You have to run into her. And it's happened where, so and so, you're on the subway platform or da da da, and she will go home with you right then and there. Again, so recognize when you have a situation like that where it is what it is. Like, you don't have to, this idea that she's choosing you is like, what's happening is just logistical and just where it ends up when it's time for her to get physical. When it's time for her to get physical, it's just who happens to be in her vicinity and who's driving it. So logistics is king. So this whole paradigm of you have to be liked by her and you need to control her money and oppress her in order for her to stay and be it's just complete crazy. It's just, none of that has ever been true. Even in the 40s and 20s and 30s, and some women ran away. Women ran away from their homes all the time. They could leave whenever they wanted. They would get pregnant. the father would ship her away to live with her aunt and uncle or with extended family in another town or whatever the case was. So this idea that women had no choice is goofy. It's a goofy idea. It's like the idea of the chicks who say they had no choice in the producer casting couch scenario where, oh, they had to have sex with him to be in the film. No, they don't. They don't have to have sex with him to be in the film. That's nonsense. You always have a choice. So everyone has a choice. Like this idea that, oh no, she had no choice and she was chained to the house and chained to the kitchen with guards who would abuse her or attack her or stop her from leaving is just garbage. It's complete garbage. And this idea that women had absolutely no say in who they were married to because of patriarchy, which is everything is a patriarchy. The patriarchy is always in existence. It's nature. Women have never stood on the chest of men, on the chest of a man, and declared any kind of sovereignty or victory in open combat and open conflict of any kind. That's all a facade. It's all BS. Feminism is a joke. It's all paper tigers. It's all nonsense. Complete garbage. All of it is garbage. So they've never fully chosen anything. They still are not. The man chooses. You literally decide who you're attracted to. First and foremost, nothing happens without that. You decide who you're attracted to. So men have all the power, literally. You may not feel that way all the time because you're excited and anxious, but rest assured you have all the power positionally. And that's never going to go away. You choose who to even approach as a guy, literally. She can choose to reject you, fine. But that's it. That's a secondary move. You are the prime mover, literally. So when you're out there, just operate. Just operate and poke around and see who's going to comply with you. You'll always find a chick to comply with you. You might have to burn the midnight oil and stay out for hours or whatever the case is, but or just go out regularly, an hour each day, whatever, or a few times a day, whatever you can fit in your schedule. But relax. My God, man, guys are writing pamphlets out here. And then the sad thing is, he'll catch himself a little chick here and there, and then he wants to commit to her. Oh my God, brother. No, man, no. Just lean back, relax, take a deep breath. It's not that serious. Yes, the decay of society is sad and it is monumental, but it's like the Titanic. It's slow. It's a slow, we're slowly approaching that glacier. Sure, but it's not going to hit the glacier in my lifetime. At least I don't think it will. In a lot of ways, we've already hit the glacier and we're sinking slowly. And there's nothing one man can do. You can't go up against the whole first order with just you and your lightsaber. But what you can do is illustrate and reconnect people with the truth. That's all you can do. And they either choose to listen or they don't. That's it. So that's all that's happening out here. But you can absolutely go out, talk to women, be social. If you're driven to write diatribes like this, just go out. The energy it took you to write this, you could have interacted with a group of people, with groups of people, with a ton of women, and you would have been chilling. That's it. All right, so let's see what else is going on. I mean, it's so crazy. It's so crazy out here, man. Is bold of you to assume that they're only filtering based on personality or being likable. Plenty of extremely unlikable men are having kids. I see what you're saying, but from what I see, guys really bitch about this issue in the first place. They usually just say that there just aren't any women in their life worth having kids with, and they move on with their day. Yeah, I mean, he kind of has a point, but I'm not sure he fully understands that. Yes, he's right, that it's not about being likable or your personality, and yes, there are plenty of unlikable men having kids, but really what it is it doesn't matter if she likes you or hates you. Is she going to follow you in that moment? It is the unaware guys having kids for sure. Because even the guys who are getting laid. Some of them have I have a baby mama, for full disclosure. So I'm not making fun of anyone who has a baby mama. But there is some guys that have a ton of baby mamas, and they're a sane guy doesn't envy him, because it's not a stable situation, and it's just unstable. It's just unstable. That's all I'll say. So sure, but you go out with a level of self-control, and you can absolutely engage with women without having kids, without getting married, without being wealthy or super tall, etc. And you can just engage with women, see who will comply with you, get on base, first base, second base, third base, home, whatever it is, get on base without marriage, without kids, without paying, without dating. Happens all the time. Whether she likes you, she doesn't like you, irrelevant. Is she complying? And can you guys at least get along? And is she complying? She follows you, you don't follow her. That's all it is. So if that's what he means, then, fantastic. Let me see. Maybe I'll do one more. Man, these are some long posts, brother. Finally, someone said it. A lot of dudes, how feminism destroys the family unit and this and that. You basically admitting your personality isn't good enough for women to choose you. Come on, fellas, man up. If you genuinely love women, you want them to have careers, make money, and have choices, and pick the man they really like. This is vomit inducing. I want women to be happy. The problem is they're always miserable, or their happiness is only temporary, or they're only happy, quote unquote, when they are following a man, and not when they're being. But unfortunately, the man that they follow has no incentive to commit to her in this environment. And when she herself is unable to bond, or just running around being stimulated, and you can't reverse that. So you can't make her into someone that you would commit to simply because she ended up, not that she's even choosing, she just ends up in your bed or on your couch or whatever. So she just ends up in a place. These women are not choosing anything. They just burn out. They just go to this party, literally, they're coming from a party, going to a party. You catch her, you intercept her. She lives this amount of distance away. She ends up at your place, whatever the case is. So, and she may come back in a week, in a few days, or the next day, or whatever the case is. She might make you breakfast. She might massage you. You might have a good time, but that's not your wife. What don't people understand? This idea that, oh, she chose you and then you married her, is like, I don't envy any man that's in a marriage out here with a chick running around, that he convinced himself that she chose him. That is crazy business, brother. That is crazy work. That is massively mispositioned. That is lunacy. That is so, I'll say a prayer for you. That's nuts. That's crazy business. And one thing you're noticing too, a lot of guys are tying their esteem is tied up in some chick who chose him. And basically, if all the chicks ran away, or if all the chicks in your rotation, or whatever it is, if all that fell apart, does your esteem fall apart with it? Does your esteem and ability to operate as a man, does that fall apart with all these random chicks that just got distracted, met another guy, whatever the case is? So if they leave, somehow you have no more identity or direction or purpose or anything. It just doesn't work. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just telling you, it doesn't work. It doesn't functionally work. It literally doesn't work. When you just engage with some chick and you have some social situation, or something pops off and she comes, or whatever it is, fine. That's all it is. That's where it stops. Why are people so pressed on making it more than what it is? And again, I truly hope and some chicks, at least from what they show you when they're in front of you, they're doing just fine. Now, I know secretly she's not, but whatever. When she's in front of you, and as the world sees her, she's doing just fine. She has her money, whether she's a security guard or a stewardess or a nurse or a CEO or executive or whatever, whether it's CEO of a big business, small business, a business that made no profit. A lot of chicks are CEOs of businesses that are not making profit, but it could make profit in the future. No problem. But do whatever you want, mama. It makes no difference. But that's not a wife. That's not a community. That's not a family that you can trust. It's not neighbors who you can trust. None of that equals that. That's just people who have no choice. No one is married, or no one is legitimately married. So everyone's available at any time. That's the reality. And this is undeniable. So the LARPing never ends. The LARPing never ends. I guess he means that he's trying to be someone he's not. I guess he's trying to say he's shilling for the feminists or in some way or another. Not entirely sure what that means. Maybe someone in the chat can clarify that for me. I know what LARPing is when people play out medieval or any kind of like the Civil War and stuff like that. But I guess he's saying he's LARPing for the chicks. He's being a feminist or whatever. I don't know. I don't get it. But if anybody knows, put it in the chat for me. I get it, but this post glosses over social imbalances, which are the main underbelly of the issue. Sure, you can evolve and adapt, but the fact that you have to is the problem, not being addressed here. I think this guy's trying to say that you can't marry these chicks. I think so. He might be onto it. He might be onto it. But lamenting the fact that you have to adapt, I mean, that's just life. You know, like life, you have to adapt. I mean, right? Like you have to. Listen, this stuff is in the Bible, man. I'm not ultra religious, but as a guide, as a material guide, everyone, whether they realize it or not, you are Christian or you want to be Christian, whether you realize it or not. It's the most complete system. Forget about religion, this idea about religion and compulsion and you're going to go to hell, you're going to die. Don't worry about all that. Or actually, it's even more pressing than you think because you are killing yourself faster than the natural process. A lot of people are speeding up their natural decay. You're speeding it up by the choices you make. And I know because I've been one of those people. So again, I'm not picking on you. I've been one of those people speeding up the decay with substance abuse, etc. But whether you realize it or not, you are positioned to be a Christian or not. And by that, I mean the system of knowing your place in existence and knowing what your true options are. That's all Christianity is. And it's the most complete system. It literally absorbs the other systems. It absorbs Judaism, it absorbs Islam. It's all encompassing on a purely material level. Don't get caught up in the specifics and the metaphors and forget about all that stuff. But the actual material content and what's being said operationally, you can absolutely download it, apply it, and you have literally all the answers. Old Testament, New Testament, simple parts. You don't have to be a theologian. Most people today are suffering because they simply ignored the Garden of Eden. All the answers are right there. It's just you're not willing to live up to it. You're not willing to step away from people in your life that are not adhering to nature fully. That's just what it is. That's just literally what it is. And so you are your own worst enemy. Most people out here are their own worst enemy. It's just the truth. And they don't know where they are in the order that the Bible tried to tell you. But you dismissed it because people told you it was about and the Bible. I know it's hard to interpret because it itself will tell you God in heaven, but they just mean that there's something outside of you that is bigger than you, that you are one out of many in a timeline that supersedes you. And it's true. You're a grain of sand. You're a grain of sand on the beach. And this has existed before you. It'll exist after you. These are all true things. Even the atheist has to admit that. And I would submit that the atheist and the true believer or the devotee, they're both Christians positionally. They just don't realize it. And they're not fully Christians because you don't fully accept the complete truth. That's the issue. You don't accept the complete truth. You make excuses, you come up with narratives, and the complete truth scares you for some reason right now, or you're incapable of saying it out loud because you will always offend someone if you say the complete truth. When you say the complete truth, It will offend someone who only devotes themselves and worships a part of the truth or a piece of it. So it's a fight between people who can see the whole truth and people who only see a portion of the truth. Like, this guy hit this female, so all men are abusive and hateful and rapists and killers and so forth. When that's just a part of the world, that's not the entire world. You're completely not seeing the entire world. That's one example of how people misconstrue a part of the truth for the whole truth. And it goes deeper than that, but that's all I'll say for now. So people are truly their own worst enemies. And then to imagine that you build up an entire paradigm based on a morsel, a scintilla of the truth, to the point where you're making yourself miserable. This is what's happening to a lot of people out here. That's all I'll say for now. But I mean, it's just fascinating. I could do this all day. It's just nuts, man. It's nuts out here. It's so nuts out here. Do you have children? I believe he does. I think he has 3 kids, right? 3 sons, if I'm not mistaken. And that's public information. So, all right, so I'll end it here. All right, man. And the sun came up. Life will go on. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, share, and I'll catch you next time.